Law number 9. The Law of Pessimistic Interpretation. Love or fear. The relationship between optimism and pessimism and their underlying emotions is often described in terms of love and fear. Optimism is typically associated with a love-based approach, while pessimism is associated with a fear-based approach. Optimistic individuals tend to believe that good things are possible and are more likely to view challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. They may approach difficult situations with courage and resilience, believing that they can overcome obstacles and achieve their goals. In contrast, pessimism is often described as a negative, reactive, and fearful approach to life. Pessimistic individuals tend to believe that bad things are more likely to happen and may view challenges as threats to their well-being. They may approach difficult situations with anxiety and avoidance, believing that they are powerless to change their circumstances. Generally, an optimistic outlook is driven by a sense of love, hope, and possibility, while a pessimistic outlook may be driven by a sense of fear, anxiety, and limitation. Pessimism, and any pessimistic interpretation of anything that you see, emanates from fear. Any event can be interpreted by you optimistically or pessimistically. Typically, we choose a pessimistic approach. There is good reason why we do this. We are unlimited, but we have all been programmed to be limited. Our unlimited selves approach life in love and love-based attitudes. Our limited selves approach life in fear and fear-based attitudes. At its core, pessimism is an expression of fear and is derived from the following aspects. Stone Age man was all about survival. If there was a noise in the bushes, it was better to assume it is a threat. In that regard, you are prepared and ready to defend yourself. This self-protection attitude applies in modern-day times. Every day we perceive we are being attacked, duped, scammed, and taken advantage of. Society, and especially our parents, have trained us to be aware and to be prepared for the worst. They did this to protect you, based on the fear-based life that they were brought up in. In turn, you will teach your children the same fear-based programming. It's time to break this negative cycle. When we have an expectation, we invoke the risk of the expectation not being met and increase the likelihood of being let down or rejection occurring. A pessimistic person does not increase this risk and in fact receives a perceived reward when they are proven right. In other words, when something goes wrong. Think about the stupidity of pessimism. We would rather assume the worst situation and be right than hope for the best and be wrong. This is everything that is wrong with the world. This is the insanity of the human ego. Because man believes to be true what he prefers to be true, this leads to cognitive biases, such as a tendency to focus on negative information, to underestimate one's own abilities, or to catastrophize future events. An aspect of mastering your ability to create and to increase your consciousness is to learn to override this pessimistic tendency. This pessimism comes from our lowest brain system, the amygdala, and is linked to our primitive survival beliefs and our reptilian brain. To overcome this, one needs to elevate to a higher consciousness and override this lower level thought process. You can be driven by love or by fear. It is your choice. Optimists generally create good fortune and pessimists do not. Their expectation creates an intent, which impacts the probability curve. Think for a moment about the literal meaning of the word frequency. Literally, it means how often an event will occur. When you vibrate at a frequency, you are fixing the photons of your creation, and the probability that this will occur is the frequency you are emitting. As pessimism is fear, it attracts unwanted experiences. Overcome negative thinking. You become what you think, and therefore a mind diet of negative thoughts will lead to negative outcomes. Positive thoughts lead to positive outcomes. Therefore, it is in your interest to make the leap from negative to positive thinking. It takes practice to become aware of your thoughts. It is very easy to just keep thinking thoughts and let them spew out uncontrolled. To change a thought requires awareness of the thought, and then application to change the thought from negative to positive. This takes some effort, but the rewards are well worth it. State the intent to stop negative thoughts. Start monitoring your thoughts. Stop the negative thought and change it to a positive thought. You may think this is easier said than done. However, there are always two sides to everything. Look for the other side of the coin. When you train yourself to always look for the good, then ultimately the good is all you will see. Stop criticizing self and others and events. What possible benefit does it bring you? Stop judgments of self and others. Again, other than a chemical release in your brain, what good comes from judgment? Stop complaining. Of 10 things in your life, 8 are good and 2 are bad, perhaps. Focus on the positive and learn to ignore the bad. When you focus on the bad, you give it energy. You make it real. Practice acceptance, endless acceptance. Or you can choose to have your life remain as it is. Remember the common definition of insanity? Doing the same things and expecting a different result. You create your world. We know our mind is an emitter and receiver of frequencies. What we receive is relative to what we send out. Therefore, be conscious of your thoughts and guard against negative thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. If you are in the right frame of mind and are sending out the correct frequencies, you will eventually create whatever it is you are intending. But fear is a powerful attractor. Fear creates focused energy and increases the probability of occurrence. You attract your fears is a valid statement. A lesson will keep returning until you have learnt the lesson. Acceptance of the downs will reduce their frequency and duration. What you focus on is what you attract. This is the law of probability. Your act of observing forms your creation, and the energy of your mindset regulates the probability of that creation. Over the ages, religious and spiritual texts explain that you create your experiences. Buddhism especially suggests that our actions and intentions create the conditions of our lives. This principle is based on the idea that everything in the universe is interconnected and that our thoughts and actions have a ripple effect that can shape our experiences. The concept of karma is also related to this idea. Optimism. If what you think is what you become, consider then an optimist versus a pessimist. An optimist will look on the bright side of a bad event, will have expectations of happiness and good fortune, and will generally exude hope. A pessimist assumes something will go wrong. If it can go wrong, it will, and looks on the downside of any event. If what you think is what you become, then an optimist and a pessimist are self-fulfilling prophecy machines. Optimists recover better from medical procedures, have healthier immune systems, and live longer, both in general and when suffering from conditions such as cancer. Pessimists' constant negative outlook continually evokes the fight or flight response. In itself, this leads to illness and stress, and thus the pessimist fulfills a self-fulfilling prophecy. Optimism is more than just believing in a positive outcome. It encompasses stopping criticism of self and others, stopping judgment of self and others, and acceptance and forgiveness. Why accept and forgive? Because you believe everything will work out. If you think it will not work out, you are a pessimist. There are many reasons why it is generally considered better to be optimistic. Optimistic people tend to experience less stress, anxiety, and depression than pessimists. They are also more likely to engage in healthy behaviors such as exercise, healthy eating, and regular sleep, which can improve overall well-being. Optimistic people are generally more social and outgoing than pessimistic people, which can lead to more fulfilling relationships and better social support networks. Optimistic people tend to bounce back more easily from setbacks and challenges than pessimists. They are more likely to see challenges as temporary and solvable, which can help them stay motivated and persistent in the face of difficulties. There are several downsides to being pessimistic. Pessimistic people tend to focus on negative outcomes and possibilities, which can lead to increased stress and anxiety. They may also engage in negative self-talk and rumination, which can worsen mental health symptoms. Pessimistic people may be less likely to take action or pursue goals, since they may not believe that their efforts will lead to positive outcomes. Pessimistic people may have difficulty maintaining positive relationships, since they may be more likely to withdraw from social interactions or engage in negative interactions with others. When we are optimistic, we feel better. Our brains release neurochemicals such as dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. In contrast, when we are pessimistic, our brains release cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. All of these are associated with anxiety, fight, and flight. The law of attraction. The law of attraction suggests that when we focus on positive thoughts and emotions, we send out positive vibrations that attract more positive experiences into our lives. Optimism is a powerful tool for creating these positive thoughts and emotions, which can help us manifest the things we desire. By cultivating optimism and focusing on positive thoughts and emotions, we can tap into the power of the law of attraction and create the life we truly want to live. The universe is constantly presenting us with opportunities. A pessimist is risk-averse, and we will automatically avoid most of these opportunities. Bad things will continually happen to you. They are there for a reason. It is part of life. The reason is for you to learn a lesson, to improve your consciousness level. You might not be able to control events in your life, but you can control your response to the events. If your response is aligned with optimism, your life will generally be happier and less stressful. You decide. Nature has a powerful law, the law of cycles. This is evident in the weather patterns, for instance, and even the stock exchange. Things go well for a while, and then things go badly. Every now and again you may get a cold. Every now and then you may feel emotionally low. Your life will never be a continual upward line on a graph. It is a series of ups and downs. Learn to appreciate the ups. Learn to accept the downs or even appreciate them, for without the downs, the ups wouldn't seem so great. Any appreciation will increase the frequency and duration of the ups. If there are two ways you can choose to see something, choose to see with love.